If Schopenhauer had to offer only one lesson to anyone seeking genuine intellectual freedom, this would likely be where he would begin. At first, it sounds almost absurd. How could a philosopher whose life was devoted to books tell us to read less? The answer reveals one of the darkest truths about the human mind. Books can liberate you. They can also become the most elegant prison you will ever inhabit. Schopenhauer wasn't warning us against knowledge. He was warning us against replacing our own consciousness with someone else's. In Parerga and Paralipomena, he wrote, "When we read, another person thinks for us." It is a sentence that has only grown more disturbing with time. Every page you consume is a path already cleared by another mind. Every conclusion has already been reached. Every argument has already been arranged before your eyes. Reading is valuable, but it is also dangerous when it becomes a substitute for thinking instead of its beginning. Most people never notice when this shift happens. They spend years collecting ideas the way misers collect coins, believing that accumulation is the same as wisdom. They can quote philosophers, recite famous passages, and speak confidently about subjects they have never truly wrestled with in solitude. Their minds become libraries filled with borrowed voices, while their own remains almost silent. Schopenhauer despised this kind of intellectual dependence because he understood something deeply unsettling. The greatest enemy of truth is not ignorance. It is borrowed certainty. A person who knows very little may still be capable of discovering reality. A person convinced that every answer has already been written rarely searches for anything at all. And perhaps that is the quiet tragedy of our age. We consume more information than any civilization before us, yet spend less time alone with our own thoughts than almost any generation in history. If there is one prison that captures millions of people without using walls, chains, or locked doors, it is the prison of other people's opinions. Schopenhauer believed that much of human suffering begins the moment we allow our worth to be measured by the minds of others. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek approval before authenticity. We learn to celebrate praise, fear criticism, and slowly confuse acceptance with identity. After enough years, this habit becomes so deeply rooted that we no longer recognize it as a prison. We simply call it life. In Aphorisms on the Wisdom of Life, Schopenhauer wrote, "What one is in oneself contributes far more to one's happiness than what one has or how one appears in the eyes of others." Few sentences expose the human condition so mercilessly. Most people spend decades polishing an image while neglecting the person behind it. They invest enormous effort into controlling how they are perceived, forgetting that public opinion is one of the most unstable forces in existence. Admiration changes into indifference. Respect turns into envy. Applause fades almost as quickly as it arrives. Yet countless lives are built upon this fragile foundation. Schopenhauer considered this one of humanity's greatest illusions because it hands your peace to people who neither understand you nor spend much time thinking about you at all. The crowd is inconsistent by nature. It praises one thing today and condemns the very same thing tomorrow. Anyone who depends on its approval will inevitably become just as unstable as the opinions they chase. The uncomfortable truth is that the need for validation never ends. The more approval you receive, the more you fear losing it. And the more you fear losing it, the less honestly you begin to live. Few experiences reveal the truth about a person more than solitude. Most people believe they fear loneliness. Schopenhauer believed they fear something far deeper: themselves. One of his most famous observations captures this idea with brutal simplicity. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. This was never an argument against friendship, love, or human connection. It was a warning. A person who cannot endure their own company will eventually become dependent on everyone else's. What begins as companionship quietly transforms into emotional necessity, and necessity is the enemy of freedom. That is why Schopenhauer wrote that whoever does not love solitude does not love freedom. The statement sounds harsh until you understand what he meant. When the noise disappears, when there are no conversations to distract you, no notifications demanding your attention, no audience watching your every move, there is only your own mind. For many people, that silence is unbearable. Not because solitude is painful, because it exposes everything they have spent years trying to escape. The regrets they never confronted, the fears they buried beneath constant activity, the emptiness that no relationship, career, or achievement has ever been able to fill. Modern life has made this confrontation almost impossible. Every empty moment is instantly occupied by a screen, a message, another video, another endless stream of stimulation. We have become experts at escaping ourselves. Yet the more we run from silence, the more terrifying it becomes. Schopenhauer saw solitude differently, not as isolation, as liberation. Only in solitude can you discover whether your thoughts are truly your own, or merely echoes of the world around you. Only in solitude do you stop performing and begin existing. The person who learns to enjoy their own company no longer approaches others out of desperation, fear, or incompleteness. They choose companionship instead of depending on it. And that may be the rarest form of freedom a human being can ever possess. There is something more valuable than money, status, or even intelligence: time. Unlike wealth, it cannot be earned back. Unlike reputation, it cannot be repaired once it is lost. Every hour you waste is a fragment of your existence that disappears forever. And Schopenhauer believed few people truly understood the weight of that reality. In Aphorisms on the Wisdom of Life, he warned that the endless pursuit of external success often becomes another form of slavery. People sacrifice their days believing that happiness is waiting somewhere in the future. They work, accumulate, compete, and postpone living, convinced that one more achievement will finally give them peace. But the will never stops demanding. The moment one desire is fulfilled, another immediately takes its place. That is the tragedy of human existence. We mistake movement for progress. We mistake productivity for purpose. We mistake being busy for truly living. Schopenhauer understood that a meaningful life is not measured by how much you accomplish, but by how consciously you spend the limited time given to you. A calendar filled with obligations is not necessarily a life filled with meaning. In fact, constant activity often becomes the easiest way to avoid confronting ourselves. The modern world has perfected this distraction. Every notification competes for your attention. Every platform profits from your focus. Every unnecessary commitment quietly steals another piece of your life until your days no longer belong to you. Protecting your time is more than learning to say no. It is deciding that your existence is too precious to be consumed by things that leave your soul empty. Schopenhauer knew that no one can stop the passage of time. The only question is whether your years will be spent chasing endless desires or cultivating a life that still feels like your own when the noise finally fades away. One of the greatest sources of suffering is not betrayal, it is expectation. Schopenhauer believed that people are rarely wounded by reality itself. They are wounded by the illusions they project onto reality. We imagine others to be more loyal than they truly are, more rational than they actually behave, and more virtuous than human nature has ever promised. Then, when those illusions collapse, we call it disappointment. In truth, we are mourning a fantasy. Schopenhauer never viewed humanity through sentimental eyes. He understood that beneath civilization lies something far older, a blind will, constantly driven by desire, fear, self-interest, and the instinct to survive. This does not make people evil. It makes them human. That is why he warned against idealizing anyone. The same person capable of generosity can also become selfish when their interests are threatened. The friend who stands beside you today may disappear when success awakens envy. The promises people make often reflect how they feel in the moment, not who they will remain when circumstances change. This may sound pessimistic. Schopenhauer would have called it realistic. Accepting the limits of human nature does not make you cynical. It makes you harder to deceive. You begin to admire loyalty because you understand how uncommon it is. You appreciate honesty because you know how easily self-interest can silence it. Most importantly, you stop demanding perfection from imperfect beings. That simple shift changes everything. You trust with open eyes instead of blind hope. You forgive without becoming naive. You recognize goodness when it appears, while remembering that every human being carries contradictions capable of building or destroying everything they love. The world becomes less shocking once you stop expecting people to be something they have never been. Lucidity is often mistaken for pessimism. Schopenhauer knew the difference. The pessimist expects the worst. The lucid person simply refuses to mistake illusion for reality. Most people spend their lives trying to improve their circumstances. Very few ever think about improving the mind that experiences those circumstances. Schopenhauer believed this was one of humanity's greatest mistakes. We devote years to building careers, accumulating wealth, earning respect, and shaping the world around us, while neglecting the one thing that will accompany us through every success, every failure, every loss, and every triumph: our own consciousness. In Aphorisms on the Wisdom of Life, Schopenhauer wrote, "What a man is in himself, what accompanies him in solitude, and what no one can either give or take away, is obviously more essential to him than everything he possesses or how he appears in the eyes of others." This idea lies at the heart of his philosophy. The external world is unstable. Fortunes disappear. Relationships end. Health declines. Reputation changes with the opinions of the crowd. But the quality of your inner life determines how every one of those experiences will be lived. Two people can endure the same hardship and emerge completely different. One becomes bitter. The other becomes wiser. The event itself is identical. What changes is the mind interpreting it. That is why Schopenhauer valued philosophy, art, literature, and contemplation so deeply. Not because they eliminate suffering, but because they transform the person who suffers. They refine perception, deepen judgment, and create a richness that no external possession can replace. The modern world encourages us to invest in everything except ourselves. We polish our resumes, upgrade our possessions, improve our appearance, and expand our networks, while leaving our inner world neglected. Schopenhauer would have seen this as a tragic inversion of priorities. Because in the end, your greatest possession is not your house, your career, or your reputation. It is the mind through which you will experience every remaining day of your life. Neglect that, and no amount of success will ever feel enough. After everything Schopenhauer wrote about suffering, selfishness, disappointment, and the relentless struggle of existence, his final lesson may be the most unexpected of all. He believed that compassion is the true foundation of morality. Not law, not religion, not reputation, not the desire to appear virtuous. And on the basis of morality, Schopenhauer argued that no action is genuinely moral if it is motivated by fear, obligation, or the expectation of reward. An act becomes truly moral only when we recognize another person's suffering as something fundamentally connected to our own. This idea becomes far more profound when viewed through the lens of his philosophy. Every human being is driven by the same blind will. Everyone desires, everyone fears, everyone loses, everyone suffers. The faces are different. The story is always the same. Behind every confident smile hides an invisible struggle. Behind every act of anger, there may be grief. Behind every cold expression, years of disappointment. We spend so much time judging what people do that we rarely stop to wonder what they have endured. Schopenhauer never suggested that compassion meant becoming naive. Understanding human suffering does not require excusing injustice or accepting betrayal. Wisdom demands discernment. Some people must be forgiven from a distance. Others must be left behind entirely. Compassion is not the absence of boundaries. It is the absence of hatred. Perhaps this is why Schopenhauer admired Eastern philosophy so deeply. Like Buddhism, he believed suffering is not an exception to life. It is its constant companion. Once this truth is understood, arrogance begins to dissolve. You no longer imagine yourself standing above others, because you realize every person you meet is carrying the same burden in a different form. In the end, we all walk toward the same destination. We grow old. We lose what we love. We struggle against desires that never remain satisfied. And one day, we disappear, recognizing that shared fate does not remove suffering. But it may prevent us from adding even more suffering to a world that already has more than enough. If this video gave you a new way to see yourself, imagine what you'll discover in the 100+ philosophical videos already waiting on this channel. If you'd like to go even deeper, consider becoming a channel member. Your support helps keep these videos independent and allows us to create more content like this. You can also leave a super thanks if you'd like to support this work in a direct way. But truly, simply watching until the end, leaving a like and sharing this video already helps more than you probably realize. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next lesson.